Why, hello there. I'm Sin. We're in the Book Nook, and today we're going to talk about a short story collection that I thought was absolutely fantastic. So, every once in a while, I'll come across a book of short stories that all of them are just shining gems that sparkle individually and create a beautiful collection as a whole. A lot of times, I read a book of short stories. I like some, I think some are and then some are just okay, but this one, which is A Sunny Place for Shady People by Mariana Enriquez, is weird and wondrous and heartfelt and emotional and so many things all tied together. I've read one other book by her, which was Our Share of Night, which is a fantastic book. It has a lot of like occult themes interwoven into it. And if you have any interest in hearing about that, I do have a standalone review for that. I'll link that down below. So this book, it's 12 different short stories. A lot of it has like almost like occult roots. Some of it is paranormal. Some of it is just, life experience of trauma and sadness. And there's a lot of stories that have women in them and just the things that they have faced and gone through. And it's a crazy collection. And I absolutely loved it. The last story scared the crap out of me because the last story is called Black Eyes, and it's about the black eyed kids, and the black eyed kids terrify me. I don't even like talking about them, but I'm going to for a brief moment here because it's a story in the book, and there was definitely the scariest one. So there's like a phenomena in the paranormal circles and in unsolved mysteries and stuff like that where these kids appear that give off this just pure evil, like waves of evil coming off them. You sense it, you think like, and they want to be let in somewhere. And if you let them in, you will probably die. Because these are like, who knows what they are. They're some sort of weird spirit entity that is just bad news bears. And so that story, the last one, scared the crap out of me. It's a fantastic story, but it's so creepy. And if you've been around the channel, you may have heard me mention how much I hate, like, just thinking about these creatures. Even though this is a fictional story, like, there's actual, like, real life encounters that people have had with these kids. So, anyways, that was the last story, but then there's like 12 other ones, and they're all, a little bit of horror interwoven with actual real life experience and stuff that happens. There's a lot of stuff that has to do with ghosts. We'll give you a little bit of a breakdown of what each story is. So the first story is about this woman named Emma, and she sees ghosts. And a lot of the ghosts of people who have died around her neighborhood. Some girls who were shot, there was another boy who was taken and he was murdered, and then she sees her mother, and her mother like is in her house. Her mom doesn't really talk to her either. Sometimes she'll laugh, or other times she just seems like irritated or angry about stuff. And so the neighborhood isn't the best and it's kind of a dangerous place, but she doesn't really want to leave because her mother's ghost is there. And so she stays in this place, and it's just a very haunting and strange and sad story. And then the next story after that gets into there's a writer, and she wants to go work for this publication that writes and covers like weird happenings and weird circumstances, whether they're paranormal or stuff like, ghosts, aliens, UFOs, strange deaths that have happened. And she wants to cover the story of Eliza Lamb. And Eliza Lamb, there was the whole thing where there's footage of her at this hotel, and she's in the elevator and she's acting really weird. Stuff's happening and she seems all like freaked out. She's pushing a bunch of buttons, and then she goes and it looks like she's talking to someone when the door opens. Well, her body was found up on the top of the roof in like the water. I don't know if it's a water tower, but where the water was stored. And it's something that like she wouldn't have had the strength to lift it up or get in there herself. So they always wondered like how did she get in there? How did this circumstance happen? This, that, and the other. And so this writer wants to cover the story about that. And so she goes out and she stays at this place and then goes to the hotel. And there's been these people who have been holding a ritual trying to like summon the spirit of the ghost to, I don't know, maybe try to figure out what happened and all that. After that one, you have this story about this mother who was raped when she was 14, and what she never told her family is the person who raped her had no face. Like it was like blurry and didn't exist. And then when the mother gets older later in life, her facial features start to disappear and she ends up killing herself. And then what happens with her family afterwards, like if any of that trauma passed on and whatnot. And it's such a strange and weird story. Like I said, all these are strange and weird, and they're pretty great. They have a real emotional impact, they're tangible. While they're paranormal, they're yet also relatable in the real world with a lot of trauma and the emotional impacts that, stuff has in society on people and all and whatnot. Then the story after that is called Julie, and it's about this this girl that has sex with the spirits, and her parents are not okay with this, and it's real weird. And so her parents kind of have like ostracized her and been horrible towards her, and they don't try to understand her. And I mean, yeah, it's kind of weird that she has sex with spirits. It's a very interesting story, and what happens is a little unsettling as well. After that, there's a story called Nightbirds, and that is about these two girls who I think, I'm not 100% sure, but it kind of seemed like they were in a asylum or a place for people who had like mental disturbances for and whatnot. It's just a story of these two girls, and the one has this weird condition where like her skin rots and falls off of her. It doesn't smell, but like she always has like bugs crawling on her and stuff. And only the one girl ever like wasn't disgusted by her and able to like be around her and not, repulsed like everyone else was. And just a sad kind of weird and twisted story. And then after that, there's a story called Metamorphosis, and that one is about this woman who gets this like fibroid removed from her, but then she decides she wants to put it back in. So that's that one. Metamorphosis. After that is Hyena Hymns. And this is a liminal story. There is this couple and they go to this, I think they went to like where an old concentration camp used to be, and it's abandoned, but they go in this one building. And in this room is piles and piles of clothes. And the one person is like, these are the clothes of all the people who have died. And then the person who's with, like, he's like, no, look at them. They're all new and stuff, And so the other person's like, well, maybe we shouldn't touch those. I'm getting weird, weird vibes. But the other dude puts on like an outfit, and then all of a sudden it seems like they're in this weird liminal place. And they end up in this other room where there's this man with like a top hat. And it seems like they're not in the same place and time anymore. And it seems pretty dangerous, and they might die. After that is the story Different Colors Made of Tears. And this one is about these old, like, vintage dresses and jewelry that's going to be donated to this clothing shop. But when those outfits are put on, something very effed up happens. That's all I'll say about that one. The story after that one is called The Suffering Woman, and this one is about a woman who, in her house, she is seeing like the ghost of someone else who is dying, and she had kept getting these phone calls from someone who was trying to reach their dying friend, and it was like weirdly, I don't know if it was out of time and space, but she keeps catching like glimpses of this woman, like while they're laying next to her or down in the mirror, in like the closet mirror and stuff. And it's sad and strange. Then after that, there's the refrigerator cemetery. And this one is, as you would imagine, there was a warehouse that used to house all these refrigerators. And when they closed down, they put all the refrigerators just like outside, and they've just been there for years, like just refrigerator after refrigerator sitting there. And so there's some kids who go and play there, and then bad stuff happens. After that, there's a weird story called A Local Artist. This one disturbed me quite a bit. This couple, they go on like a little vacation to this town that's smaller, and it's a little bit off the beaten path, but the town seems like they're trying to like spark tourism and whatnot. And they have this local artist that the imagery and pictures that this artist paints are phenomenal, but who and what the artist is gross and disturbing. And then the last story was the one I already told you about that scared me the most, which was Black Eyes, about the black-eyed kids, and it was super scary. So yeah, this is a fantastic collection. If you've read anything by Mariana Enriquez, great author. The way she writes is so just visual and tangible and poetic. It's haunting, it's emotional, it's very gripping. I would highly recommend it. If you're looking for a good one, there's like a small handful that I can think of off the top of my head that like I loved everyone. And this is definitely one of them. Another one was the Never Whistle at Night, which is a collection of stories by different authors that are indigenous. And that one's also absolutely fantastic. And also, if you're interested in hearing about that short story collection, that'll be the next video coming up. So if you want to stick around and click into that, and if you enjoyed hanging out today, hit that subscribe button, come back, see me again, and we'll talk about more bookish things and weird stuff.